Hey, everybody, it's me, Tuniscia. Oh, and welcome to Tea with Tuniscia. Oh, how is everybody doing today? I hope you're having a beautiful day and a wonderful day, and I'm super excited to join you guys today in our sisterhood chat. So today, we are going to talk about forgiving ourselves for all of the self-sabotage that we have. Like today, I'm going to tell y'all, I didn't even try to self-sabotage, but I have spent like 15 minutes trying to get this whole Facebook thing. Hey, Alicia, thank you for coming back. So today, we're going to talk about using the gift of forgiveness to overcome our self-sabotage. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who has all these dreams and I'm working so diligently on something. And people may even say, I'm going to help you. But then our pride comes in and we're like, no, I don't need your help. I don't need your help. And then we're secretly suffering in silence. And what we needed, they had, and we decline it. So where does that come from? Let's get into it. How can we overcome it? Please talk to me as we go through this. I want to answer questions. I want to have a total dialogue with all of you beautiful ladies today. So the first thing is identifying our self-sabotage and understanding something that most of the time our self-sabotage, it's subconscious. It's not even intentional. You know those times where you keep saying, why do I keep doing this? I know I get really annoyed with myself and I beat myself up. Sometimes I'm a little bit too hard on myself because I think, why do I keep doing this? It's the self-sabotage with the people that we're around. We know that they're not good for us. We know that they're not out for our best interests, yet we keep them so close to us and we value their opinion. We do it when it comes to our business ideas. We know what it takes in order to accomplish the goals that we want, but yet we haven't stepped out in order to do those things. So how do we overcome that? One, it's identifying what those habits are. Take a moment to really write down what are the patterns that you see. And I'm going to tell you this, it's not comfortable. It's not easy for us to identify what it is that we're doing that is causing us to have this sabotage towards ourselves. It's not easy to look in the mirror and say, you know what? You're failing at this. It doesn't make you a failure, but you're failing at this. So take a moment to write down if it's the people that you're around, if it's the habits that you have, what is causing you to be stuck? We cannot fix anything that we don't identify. Nobody is taking their car to a mechanic to say, fix it. And then the mechanic just says, well, just give me money. And you're like, but what's broken? It doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter what's broken. Just give us money. No, we need to identify where we are losing things in order for us to get this together. And there's nothing wrong with it. Failing at something doesn't make us a failure. So let's identify our self-sabotage. Let's identify our self-sabotaging habits. How can we do that? One, it's the negative self-talk. You know those times where people say, I'm so stupid. And even though you pretend as though it's not really a big deal, I'm so dumb. I always make mistakes. I'm a loser. And and you laugh it off. These are the things that you're telling yourself. And whatever you tell yourself, then we allow other people to come and we get upset when they say we're stupid or a loser, but yet we've taught them that because that's what we always say. You're not stupid. You're not a loser. You're not incompetent. You are more than enough. What we tell ourselves is huge. So take a moment to really evaluate over the next 48 hours, really evaluate your thoughts of yourself, the words that you say about yourself. If you make a gentle mistake, are you beating yourself up or are you giving yourself the grace to grow through that moment? Really, really focus on that because these are self-sabotaging habits that we have, but we can overcome them as we grow through these things, right? The next one is perfectionism. Oh, breathe with me. I'm gonna even drink some water on that one. I was someone who struggled so much with everything needing to be perfect. I felt like all of the people around me needed to be perfect. I wanted everything the exact way. And although I laughed it off like, this just me, my OCD and all those things. The reality is it was my control issues. It was my need to have everything in control in order for me to feel like I was running the show, so to speak. And the problem with that is that it doesn't work well in marriage. It doesn't work well as your children get older. And perfectionism, when it comes to business, it just doesn't work at all. Why? Because I'm going to be the first person to tell you. If you're a person who keeps telling yourself that you're going to go live on Facebook every day and you don't do it because you're afraid that you don't know what to say, your hair is not fixed right, you don't know what to do. Now, let me just tell you, I go live every single day on Facebook because I get to go live every day for this entire year. That was one of the things that God told me to do. And I'm stressed every day to the point that I want to put on makeup and fix my hair, but I just figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, come on, y'all. Here we are talking about I'm authentically me. I love me. And you can't even get on a Facebook video without worrying about how perfect you are. You see this thing? I had my daughter throw it up because I was like, girl, the hair, can you just throw it up and let's just pretend like we're doing something? Great. My husband actually laughed. He said, I love how you're always put together from the top up, but the bottom, I have on like sweatpants. Ain't nobody tripping. So that's the thing. Perfectionism. Let me just tell you this. You're going to mess up the first time. When you do your business, your first business call, it's probably not going to be as great as you want it to be. When you write your first book and it's going through the editing process, hey, Earth Angel Viola, it's probably not going to be perfect. You're going to get mistakes. You're going to have errors. So you know what's best to do? Go ahead and get the mistakes out of the way so that you can start working through and growing. Listen, we have to stop comparing our worst days to somebody else's best day. Just like I'm not going to compare my best day to somebody else's worst day. It's not fair. We don't know what they went through in order to get to where they are. And I don't know what someone went through and as to why they are where they are. We have to stop comparing. Stop worrying about being perfect. We're on the part of self-sabotaging habits. So it's negative self-talk and overcoming our desire to be perfect. You're just not. We are perfectly imperfect, and be okay with that. You're going to mess up some stuff. Hey, Raul. The next one is procrastination. Am I the only one? I'm like breathing when I say procrastination. Lord have mercy. Sometimes when it comes to me doing things for my business, I would rather pull out one eyebrow at a time than doing some of the simplest stuff for business. I'm like, oh, does the grass need to be cut? I don't even know how to cut grass, but I'm willing to cut grass before I sit to edit some of the writings that I have. The reality is I have to come to be honest with myself to say, Tuniscia, you know where you slack and you know where you lag, honestly. And although we have all this time as we're at home in quarantine, it doesn't make it better. As a matter of fact, can I be honest with y'all? I'm going to tell you the truth. I am finding, even though I work at home, I'm really beginning to analyze all of my bad habits because now I have all day long to see how long and how bad I procrastinate. You know what I mean? Am I the only one? Do you guys have that? Like now you get to see where you have the time to organize your business because you've been saying it was because of work. You've been saying it was because of the kids. You've been saying it was because of your husband. You said because it was because of dinner and all of these things. That's the reason why you haven't built a business. Now you have all this time and you still haven't done it. It's because we have the habit of procrastination. I'm guilty. Yes, I get it, Q. Procrastination is at an all-time high right now. You are not alone. So what I want to tell you is be gentle with yourself. Seriously, be really gentle with yourself. You guys, we are going through a time right now where some people say it may turn into PTSD, and you don't have to claim any of those things, but it's so important that we are just present in the moment to how we're feeling. So sometimes I'm just exhausted and I am going through something right now that I haven't shared publicly, but when you find out, y'all will be shocked that I was even smiling every day on a Facebook Live. So I'm excited to share that, but I can't release it just yet. But sometimes I just have to sit on the couch and just relax and then get back to work. So 3 things that we're going to do for self-sabotaging habits that we're going to identify is our negative self-talk. The next 48 hours, listen and pay attention to every word you say about yourself. Our need to be perfect. Why? I'm not sure, but there's something instilled in us that we always think it's going to be perfect. Let me just tell you, you're going to make a mistake anyway. So just go ahead and make that mistake, get it out the way, and get on with the next best part of whatever it is that you're creating. And procrastination. Go ahead and be present with how and why you are procrastinating. What is it that you're really afraid of? Some of us have a fear of failure, and some of us have a guilt of success. You know what I mean? So some of us have a fear of failure. Others of us have a guilt of success. So identify which one it is. And sometimes it's a little bit of both. And if it is, it's okay. Work through that and see, why are you afraid to succeed? Is it because you may leave some people behind because people told you you're going to think you're this or that? Here's the deal. Whatever it is they think of you, they're going to think that anyway. So you may as well be living your dream life and your best life if they're going to have an opinion. So go ahead and live that life. The next thing is identifying the root causes. Excuse me. Isn't it weird when you cough, you feel guilty for coughing? Who would have thought you'd come to a time where you can't even cough without people thinking something's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with you. Identify the root causes. Let's talk about this for a second. Do you realize that some of your habits, many of your habits, they are the habits of your mother, your father, your grandparents, whoever raised you, however your baggage of life is packed? You are beating yourself up for something and you're like, why can't I do this? But really, it's the habits that are instilled in you. And yes, I know many of you will say, I'm an adult now. I got to get over it. I got to get over it. Yes, you do. But if we aren't taught or shown how to work through that, how to get over it, where do we go? What do we do? I think that we're so hard on ourselves when we just say, get over it, move on. We do need to do that. But at the same time, we have to have actionable steps in order to get there. Every single thing that we do in life, there's a system, there's a process. And guess what? Overcoming self-sabotage is a system and a process. And it's going to include us being gentle with ourselves, forgiving ourselves, and really analyzing what happened in our past, in our lives as we grew up. What did we see demonstrated? Was it acceptable for you to be a successful businesswoman? Did you see healthy marriages demonstrated? What type of life did you have as a child? How did your parents treat you? Where was it? What did love mean in your house? What did love look like in your home? What did it look like to have a relationship with the man? What did these things mean? All these things have something to do, because if you grew up hearing you're not good enough, you'll never result to anything, you can't do anything right, then something in your mind is telling you you can't, and that's where that self-sabotage comes in. So we get to identify the root cause of our issues, our pain, our stress, in order for us to work through them. So listen, today, as we're working on our self-talk in the next 48 hours of time, take a moment to really write down and identify, what are some of my root causes? That means identifying where you find yourself stuck all the time. So wherever you find yourself stuck, what pattern do you see happening? It's going to get uncomfortable, and you guys can message me if you have any questions or anything. It's going to get uncomfortable, but this is where we're going to unpack these layers so that we can stop self-sabotaging. Whether you want to start that business and break through the emotional barriers, whether you want to get that husband that you want, whether you want to have a better relationship with your children, whether you want to rekindle your relationship with your husband, whether you want a better relationship with your mom and dad and all of your family, whatever it is that you want, we have to start with identifying the root cause of what's causing us to be stuck in the first place so that we can grow through that. So the next one is, remember, we've gone through self-sabotage and understanding it, the habits, self-sabotaging habits, negative self-talk, perfectionism, procrastination, identifying the root cause of sabotage, which is our upbringing, our family, our decisions, and all those things. And the next one is self-reflection. So take a moment as you're constantly telling yourself why you can't do it. Take a moment and just pat yourself on the back and say, I accomplished this. Name at least 5 to 10 things that you have accomplished even just last year. Okay. And write that down. Some of you might need to write, I kept my children alive. Because think about it. I know I was a teenage mom. I was worried, can I even handle keeping these kids alive in the first place? Am I going to be able to do this? These are things that we doubt ourselves, and yet we find ourselves doing it all the time. So find 10 things. And this will tell you how your self-talk is. Can you quickly write 10 things? And if you can't, it's okay. Take a moment, find 10 things about yourself so that you can reflect on that you have successfully accomplished. And then I want you to take a moment to find the things that you failed in. Okay? I know it stings. Stay with me for a second. You're going to focus on the things that you failed in, but what you're going to do is you're going to write next to whatever you feel you failed in, because failing doesn't make us failures. You write down what you failed in, and then you're going to write what lessons did you learn from that. Right? What did you learn from failing? Because the only way we can grow is if we analyze what we failed and then we grow. Our children take a test. They don't pass the test. They fail the test. What do we tell them? Go back and study the things that you got incorrectly. Isn't that the first thing we tell them? But as adults, we don't want to go back to look at what we failed in because it hurts. It stings. It's uncomfortable to have a reminder of where we dropped the ball. But this is the difference between the extremely successful people and those people who are not. Because the people who are extremely wealthy and successful, they have to at least acknowledge, most of them, where they fail. right? In order for them to grow and make different decisions in order to build something else. So that is the biggest key for self-reflection. Reflect all of the things that you have succeeded in and give yourself a kudos. And also, what did you do? How did you make that successful? How were you successful in that? What happened? Because I know when I'm really successful in doing things, I'll use an example of when I wrote a book. When I wrote my book, I had it outlined properly. I was very intentional. I was only focusing on what I wanted. I had everything done. I had certain times to write. I did all these specific things, but that's how I was able to come out with the outcome of a finished product. If I didn't do that, or I'm trying to work on something now and it's not happening because I'm not even following my same chart that I followed the first time. There's no wonder why I'm failing at this point. So for you, take a moment to really self-reflect what you were successful in and what you were doing. Were you up early in the morning? Were you praying? Were you working out in order to release energy, in order to have a better healthy state of mind? Did you have better relationships with people? What were you doing to succeed? And then the items and areas where you feel like you're stuck, you failed. What is it? Thank you so much, Nisha. Whatever it is that you feel like you failed in, then you want to go ahead and look at that to say, okay, I feel like I failed in these things, but this is what I can do differently in order to move through that. Take some of those successful habits, put it over here with the failure, and now we're going to come out with some good stuff. Thank you so much, Jamila. Hey there. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is breathe with me, find your inner positive voice. You know that voice that you find when you're talking to your sweet little 3-year-old child, not the voice when you're annoyed with them, but the patience that you have when they're doing something and you know that they can't quit. When they're trying to learn how to do something, they're not 3 when they're riding a bike, but whether it's riding a bike, you know that sweet inner voice that you find when a colleague comes to you and they're really beating themselves up really badly, and you don't want them to keep beating themselves up. So you find all these beautiful, eloquent, kind words to say to them in order to encourage them to keep moving forward. You know those words? The words that you never seem to find for yourself? Those are the words that we want to pull out right now in order to overcome the self-sabotage. We have to find the inner positive voice. Listen, I have to tell myself over and over, Tanisha, you got this. Tanisha, you can do this. You're so beautiful. You're so smart. You can handle this. You got everything you need, Tanisha. Right now, you are already equipped. I literally have to tell myself these things over and over because the reality is when the world comes and people tell me we don't want to work with you as clients may say, we don't want to work with you. Your product isn't good enough. It's not enough. You're not established enough. When you start hearing all these negative things, some of you may want to quit. Sometimes we want to quit, but when we've told ourselves those sweet, beautiful words and our minds and our body into the core of our soul, we are used to hearing our own inner voice. When people start saying things that are not who we are, we get to speak up for ourselves. I'm not telling you have to tell somebody, I am a righteous man of God. Sure, you can say that if you want to, but I'm talking about if you're sitting in a business meeting and they're saying stuff, because I've been in a business meeting where my boss said some very inappropriate things when I worked in corporate America. I had to know who I was in order to sit up tall and stand up and speak up. But if I didn't, when those things happen, what do? We shrink. We begin to shrink in the room. We begin to not say anything. No, we're going to sit up tall. Okay, that's because we are going to learn how to speak to ourselves with a positive voice of loving and caring and nurturing and kindness. Speak to yourself with such a beautiful love. And that's where that forgiveness comes. And if I'm saying this to you right now and you're uncomfortable and you can't even think of one thing about yourself, just one, just say, I'm God's child. Until you can find something, and we all know God is love, right? No matter where you are in religious beliefs, God is love. So I'm God's child, which means you're made of love, right? So find one thing to say about yourself, and you have to say that every day. Just say that every day. And that is what you're going to do to work on your positive inner voice. The next thing is change your patterns and behaviors. Yes, Nisha, I love it. Okay, so Nisha says that she speaks positive affirmations over herself throughout the day. I absolutely love it. If you guys don't have positive affirmations, please get some. create something. For me, I used to be very tense. So I created, and if I could get over to my vision board, I probably could take y'all over to it. I have my vision board, and my vision board is set up literally right in front of me. It has nothing to do with the decor in my house. It probably is a little tacky, but guess what? It's my house and it's my business, and I can do whatever I want to. So my vision board is literally in front of me where I sit so that I see it all day long. And I'm always reading all of the affirmations that I have written, all of the notes to myself, all of these things. When I wake up in the morning, you guys, creating successful habits, especially if they're self-sabotage, create a kick butt morning routine. My morning routine, I don't care what's happening, this is going to happen. I'm going to read the Bible. I have my favorite scriptures. I'm going to write in my gratitude journal every single day. I write 10 things that I'm grateful for in different areas of my life, whether it's my business, my love life, my relationships with friends, health, all these things. I write 10 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And then I say this prayer over my business. So these are things, and I read. So every day I have this pattern. So for you, just like Nisha, find yourself some type of affirmation. If you guys find yourself in a job where it's stressful and things are going on, write yourself a little note. Some people carry around gratitude rocks. So every time they put their hand in their pocket, that rock is right there as a beautiful reminder. Some of you should change your screen saver on your phone and put a beautiful affirmation there so you're constantly seeing it. If you're in a tough space in your relationship with your husband or your children, put one of the best pictures of you guys right there. So every time you open your phone, you see their sweet faces. Set yourself up for success. Completely set yourself up for success. So the next thing is the habits. Here's what I'm going to ask you when it comes to changing your behavior and your habits. Do your actions and your thinking conflict with your happiness? Think about that. Do your actions and your thinking conflict with your happiness? Meaning, the things that you're saying and the way that you're behaving, it's really not going to ever get you to what you really want. Like, what you really want is over here, but your thoughts and your actions aren't even in alignment with what you want. And yet we find ourselves frustrated because we're like, why can't it happen? Can't happen because you're not speaking it into existence. Hey sis, hey Angie. So we're not speaking it into existence. So whatever it is that we want, if we say we want a successful business and we want whatever you want out of your business, or even just to create a business, do our words speak that? Like, are we in alignment with whatever it is that we want in our business? Or are we saying it can't work? I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Nobody's supporting me. If everything that we say is in opposition of what it is we want, that's why you don't have it. And most times we'll blame other people for why we don't have what we want because they didn't support us. But the question is, did you support you? It's okay if they're not. They don't have to. It's not their vision or dream. Did you support you? So this is where we're going to work through our self-sabotage so that we can begin to work through our own stuff so that we can build that inner love, that inner connection to work through these things. So we're going to go through where we are so far. We talked about what self-sabotage was, our self-sabotaging habits, which is the negative self-talk. We're going to demolish that. Our need to be perfect, we're going to release that. And our procrastination, we're going to review that and see where we're stuck so that we can grow through it and build on from there. Identify the root causes. That means, hey, Bishop, identifying the root causes means that we're going to look at our baggage of life. How was it packed? What did our family members do? What was their conversation with money? How did they handle relationships? What were we taught about love? What were we taught about business? What are the things that we know? And we have to look at those things in order to see where the self-sabotage comes in. And then self-reflection. We want to take a moment to look at everything that we are successful at. What were the patterns? What was it that we did in order to succeed in that? And we also want to take a look at what we failed at. Remember, failing does not make you a failure. It just means you did not accomplish that. And that's okay. You're going to grow through it. But you want to look at what you failed at. What were the habits? What was the self-talk? What did you do surrounding that? And now you get to take the areas you succeeded in and take those habits and put them next to where you failed and see how much further out you come in getting things done. Then you want to find your inner positive voice. Be gentle with yourself. Love yourself. Be kind in your words towards yourself. Change your pattern of behavior. That means that you're going to do the actions and thinking and make sure it aligns with whatever it is that you want in that happiness. You want to analyze everything you're doing and saying to make sure that they line up. And take small, meaningful steps for change. If you're anything like me, I have this habit of when I want to do something like, okay, I'm getting in shape, right? So instead of me just saying, I'm going to go on a walk for 5 minutes a day and build up my endurance. No, not Tuniscia. I'm going to go run 5 miles today. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to do 25,000 squats. I'm going to do 100,000 push-ups. And then I'm going to drink smoothies for the rest of my day. You know what? Matter of fact, nope, I'm going to go on a water fast for 150 days. That's insane. And I know it sounds like she's crazy, but y'all know we do it all the time. So in this case, when it comes to the self-sabotage, pick one thing. Just pick one thing in order to get the maximum results. It's called the compound effect. I'm going to ask you guys a question and I want you guys to answer it. If you know the answer, then wait to the end. I'm going to ask you a question. If I tell you that I will give you $1 million today, right now, cash money, I'm about to hand you $1 million today, right at this moment. Will you take that $1 million or, and there's no strings attached, or if I tell you I'll give you 1 penny and every day that penny is going to double for 30 days? What are you guys going to take? Are you going to take the $1 million cash so you can start living your best life? And right now, considering that we're in quarantine, people have lost their jobs. That $1 million is looking real tempting. Are you going to take that $1 million right now today? Or are you going to take 1 penny? That 1 penny is going to double every single day for 30 days. Which one are you going to take? I'm going to give like 10 seconds to see if anybody answers. Which one? The $1 million today or the 1 penny that's going to double every day for 30 days? It's just 30 days. What is it? Anybody? I know it's a delay in when I see these things. So I'm going to give the answer in case you guys get bored and waiting. The answer is, if you take the $1 million, yes, you have the $1 million cash. But if you chose to take that 1 penny that is going to double every day for 1 month, 30-day period, guess what? You have over $5,300,000 and some odd thousand. I can't remember the exact amount because there's something about the compound effect. When you yes, Jamila, it's true. When you take small steps. So what's interesting is if you look at the diagram, and I don't even have it in front of me. I wish I did. I didn't know I was going to share this part. I share this in some of the training I do. But if you look at the diagram, and you guys can Google it, the first like 12 days is nothing. As a matter of fact, the first 12 days, you might be at like $300 or $600. So you feel like you are losing. And as a matter of fact, those people with $1 million are living their best life. And you're like, dang it, I should have took the money. But something magical happens about day 26. About day 26, you have jumped substantially, and all of the massive change happens between day 26 and day 30. That's when the massive growth accrues, and because now you're doubling even larger sums of money. And that is what it's like when you have self-sabotage and you keep planting those tiny little seeds of you're not good enough, you're stupid, you can't do it. Thank you, Rebecca. You'll never make it. That's why you can't keep a man. That's why your kids don't like you. When we keep putting those small things and we just water it just a little bit. I'm not even talking about a major water, just a little bit. That plant is growing. And it's the same thing when we start to become sweet with ourselves and patient with ourselves. And in this time where we are struggling more than ever, and if there was ever a time to be worried about anything, it's now. Now we're questioning why we didn't make this decision, and that's why we're in this predicament. No, breathe, relax. We're going to be okay. So now is the time to look at all the little seeds that you're planting, because the compound effect is happening. It's happening, whether you want it to happen or not. So if you decide to drop the positive words and you decide to analyze, what's my self-talk? Let me shift. Let me talk about how wonderful I am and how smart I am and how I can do it and how I can make these things happen. And you know what? Let me remind myself of how many times I have succeeded, how many times I thought I was the underdog, and yet you build yourself up with that. Now that's what's growing. Whatever you feed, you guys have heard the story of a grandfather talking to his grandson about these 2 lions. And he was like, which one is which one won? Whichever one you feed most. If this is the good, the angel, the devil, the good lion, the bad, however you want to see it, whoever you're feeding, whatever you're feeding, negative, positive, that's what's growing in your life. It's the It is the compound effect. Please Google compound effect. Look it up. Compound effect. It's happening whether you believe me or not. It doesn't even matter. If you're into stocks and interest and things, then you understand how the compound effect works. So now we're going to make small, meaningful changes, right? So I talked to you guys about exercises. Now that I've learned that that doesn't work, the idea I gave earlier. So you know what I do now? I just go outside every day and I do this thing called wogging. What is wogging? It's this walk jog. Why do I call it wogging? Because don't make fun of me. My arms seem to move real fast when I'm walking, but my legs are going like this. But my arms are like this. So I think I'm jogging, but really I'm not. I'm walking. How do I know that I'm walking? Because the people next to me seem to be moving much faster than me, and they're not running. I'm running out of breath, and my husband is walking at a casual pace, which means I'm not going fast. But that's not the point. The point is I'm outside every single day walking. And what I found is that I'll go out there and I'll just say, I'm just going to do 5 laps. That's what I'll tell myself. I'm just going to do 5 laps. I'll run one way up my street and I'll walk back. And I'll walk one way and I'll walk back. And before you know it, I'm now up to 10 times. And I'm actually out there for a whole hour. Who knew? But it's small compounding effects, right? Then I don't feel bad when I eat a piece of apple pie. I'm okay with myself because I went out walking, right? Baby steps. So the last thing is set and make goals. Now, if you're like me, when it comes to setting goals, I set goals kind of like I set out to go work out, where I set up all these things. So I set goals where I'm like, I'm going to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to do my prayer, meditation, reading, and all that stuff till 5. And from 5 to 6, I'm going to work out. Then I'm going to take my shower and eat breakfast. I'm going to drink my drink. And then I'm going to write a whole book in that day. And then by noon, I'll have the whole book finished and it'll be out to the publisher. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to create an entire online course curriculum. And by the end of the day, my whole business, and I'm going to revamp my website. And by the end of the day, my entire business will be revamped. I'll have a whole brand new book, website, and everything is ready. Do you guys do that? I know I do. That's not what it looks like to set goals. So here's what we're going to do with self-sabotaging and when it comes to setting goals. First off, decide what it is you want to do. Okay? So what does that look like? You want to write a book. I'll just throw that out there because a lot of people want to write a book, right? You want to write a book. So you're going to decide, why do I want to write a book? What is it? Is it whatever the book is, why you want to write it? Why are you passionate about it? Who is the book for? Now you're going to research all the people. So these are different steps that you're going to take in this book writing process. Writing a book doesn't mean you just sit down. No, you're setting a goal. The goal is writing the book. But the steps and the plan is, first, I'm going to decide what type of book I want to write. Who is my main audience? So if people say, I'm writing a book for Christian people, that's too broad. What type of Christian people? Because Christian people is broad, right? What type of Christian people? Christian women who have children between the ages of 1 and 3. Wonderful. You see how you've narrowed that down? And then you got to get even more specific. Christian women who are married who have children between 1 and 3. Or Christian women who are single who have children between 1 and 3. You got to be real specific. So every day when it comes to getting to this book, you got to outline something different. So maybe on day 1, you're going to decide what it's about and research other people who have done these books. 2, you're going to decide and look into who you're making the book for. What do they like? What do they love? You want to know everything about them. Then you want to outline, what is this book going to be about? What steps am I taking? And what will people learn? How will they grow in this book? That's the next day. And then you're going to outline the book. What problems are you solving in this book? What are you doing in this book? And then you begin to answer the questions of solving the problem. Before you know it, you look up and you begin to have an outline of something. You're going to interview some people. The point is these, I'm being broad, but I'm taking the steps of how you're putting a book together. And I have a goal. But now we're going to make a plan, and the plan is every day, the different things that I've said, we're going to look into those things, right? So what is your goal? If it's building a business, what does that look like? What can you do simple, actionable steps in order to break it down from I need to revamp my entire website or something that seems so colossal. And the reason why we procrastinate is because it seems scary when there's this big monster of a project looking us in the face. It's like, what? Create an online course. Lord have mercy, that's stressful. But guess what? You're stressed about creating an online course and you still haven't even figured out what the course is supposed to be about. Baby steps. Work out what this course is about before you stress yourself out about what it's going to be like. You have already feared and talked yourself out of why you can't do it, and you haven't even figured out what you're really afraid of doing in the first place. It won't be perfect anyway. That's okay. Keep moving forward. So these are all of our actionable steps. I'm going to go over them one more time. And you guys know, you guys can always DM me, reach out to me. I'm here for you. I'm glad to help. But together, we're going to get through this forgiveness thing. So we're using forgiveness to overcome self-sabotage. What are we doing? We're going to understand what self-sabotage is in the first place, and that subconsciously we are fighting against our goals. That's what it means to self-sabotage. We are subconsciously fighting against our goals that we're setting for ourselves. Self-sabotaging habits that we are going to bust through and annihilate. That is negative self-talk. The desire to just be perfect in everything that we do, and procrastination. We're going to dig into those things, really look at them and get to the root of why we feel like we need to have negative self-talk, be perfect in everything, because you're going to make a mistake. Just get ready for it. And the procrastination, why we keep delaying and doing things. The next thing is identify the root causes of why we self-sabotage. And you know what? Has everything to do with the way your baggage of life is packed. I know you did not help them pack that baggage of life completely, but there are a lot of habits of your parents, grandparents, or whoever raised you that you have held on to subconsciously. But now it's time to rewrite that story by identifying what is keeping you stuck in that place. Self-reflection, you're going to reflect on all the beautiful things that you have accomplished. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. If no one told you, I'm proud of you for whatever you've accomplished and getting it done. You're also going to reflect on the areas that you failed in. Failing does not make you a failure. It just means that you get another chance to get it right. You're going to take the success and what you did. What were the habits in order to get you to that successful place? When did you wake up? What was your mindset? What were you doing in order to get there? And then you're going to look at the areas you failed. What were your habits? What were you doing? How did you get there? You're going to take the successful habits, put them over next to the where you feel like you failed, and take some of those things so that now you can take areas where you feel like you failed or have failed and bring them up and create a successful story for that. Now, the next thing is find your inner positive voice. Be sweet with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Use kind words with yourself. You need to hear your voice louder than anyone else. When everybody tells you you can't, you're not good enough, you ain't this, you ain't that, I told you you couldn't, I want you to hear your own voice louder than anybody else's. So that starts with you having that gentle, sweet inner voice with yourself. Forgive yourself. I know you've made mistakes. I know you didn't get it right all the time, because my hands are always up. But guess what? That was a learning lesson. You don't have to sit in it. Release yourself from that prison within your mind. Release yourself from all of your self-doubt. You did it. It's done. We can't do anything about it. And the moment you release yourself, guess what? Nobody else can hold you captive to your past. See, when I forgave myself for all the stuff that I did, family can't tell me that's why you did this. Yeah, I know I did. It wasn't my best day. Might not have even been my best decade. But guess what? I'm so glad for God's grace, and I've grown and I've moved and grown through that. You got to be able to speak that. But you don't come to that place in life until you forgive yourself for where you are and for whatever it is you've done. The next thing is change your pattern of behavior. Do your actions and your thinking conflict with your happiness? Do your actions and your thinking conflict with your happiness? You can come in, love. And if it does conflict, then it's time for us to shift that self-talk and whatever it is. Hey, Cheryl, whatever it is that we are doing. The next one is make small, meaningful changes. Small, meaningful changes. We've talked about the compounding effect. If you're going to take the $1 million cash today, or if you're going to take one penny and it's going to compound over 30 days. If you allowed that one penny to compound over 30 days, we already discussed you're going to have over $5 million in 30 days versus the instant 1 million. And that's exactly what life is like. And so then we're going to set goals and make plans. That's our small steps. What is our overall goal? Why do we want it? And what are some bite-sized pieces and things that we can do in order for us to obtain that? And before you know it, you will begin to look at yourself over the days, and you're going to build this momentum. And before you know it, you're going to look back and be like, I got this. It's not perfected. It's not perfect, but you're not looking for perfection. You're looking for progress. You're looking for change. You're looking for hope. You're looking for encouragement. And it's going to start with you. It starts with us. Everything starts and stops with us. Our children are watching us. And the best gift we could give them is this gift right here. The best thing we can do is not pass on our pain and our fear and our failures onto them, because we don't know what else to give them. We're giving them the best that we can, but even when we're giving them the best that we can, it doesn't mean that it's not some habits that aren't going to serve them in life. From my family to yours, you guys know I absolutely love you to the core of my soul. I wish you all the absolute best. I'm sending so much love and light and happiness to each and every one of your households. I pray for all of you guys. I hope that you're covered, and I know that every single one of your needs will be met. I love you guys, and I will see you soon. I hope to hear from you. Ciao.